The title of this guide may seem like a typical YouTube overhyped title, but the context of it is true. I truly can say that this is one of the most broken, if not the most broken Deadeye build in 0.3 update of Path of Exile 2. You all know how good Deadeye is in clearing your screen in one lightning arrow, but picture this, a Deadeye that go into a tier 16 map while riding a RHOA, not getting stun lock, and a clearing enemy while spamming light arrow. No mana problems, just pure Herald of Thunder satisfaction. I now understand why most players enjoy this class, as Lightning Arrow plus Herald Thunder is not just a good combo for killing, but man, those lightning strikes raining down to enemies are very satisfying. So, how does this build works? How can you infinitely spam Lightning Arrow? Well, that's simple, but expensive. I am using the constricting command Viper Cap to take advantage of the while being surrounded mechanics in the game. Now, this mechanic isn't just good in providing more movement, attack damage, and defenses to your character, but if you go into your support gem, you will find one of the most insane supports in the game. This is the Defy 2 support gem that will allow your hits to be lucky, and it allows you to use supported skills even if you have no mana. This means that you can infinitely spam your skill without worrying about mana cost. This also means that you don't need any mana management anymore, and you can just focus in providing more damage or any stats you need in your build. The good thing about the Defy 2 support gem is that it doesn't stop in providing infinite skill spam, but it also boosts the damage through the lucky mechanic. Remember that luck in this game means that a hit damage is rolled twice, and the highest number will be used. This means every lightning arrow, lightning rod, and herald of thunder that hits enemies are ensured to give the highest damage output from our build. By the way, a quick note before we continue. I have posted the mobalytics guide for this build in the video description below for quick browsing of the passive skill tree, gears, and skill gem setup. This guide will be all about explaining how it works and the important things you should know about this build based on my experience playing it. Also, I humbly ask for your support by simply liking the video and subscribing to my channel. Thank you so much, and now let's continue with the guide. Now, another thing that I love about this Deadeye build is that the fact that the character can easily be leveled up, and you start to feel the power at early stages. This is because our main damage skills are available at level 1. Both Lightning Arrow and Lightning Rod really synergies well. Basically, you use Lightning Arrow to clear enemies, and if you're facing tough rares, or when you're doing boss fights, you simply drop your Lightning Rod, then shoot Lightning Arrow to deal massive damage. The next upgrade you get is the Barrage ability, which is available when you have a level 5 skill gem. With this skill, your Lightning Arrow and Rod combo becomes lethal, especially in single target DPS. The basic is, you drop Lightning Rod, then cast Barrage, and then shoot Lightning Arrow. But before you barrage, by the way, you can get Herald of Thunder once you have completed the King in the Mist fight in the campaign. This is the most satisfying combo I have played in the game. The thing is, Lightning Arrow pairs well with Herald of Thunder, since it can shock enemies with almost a 100% chance. Now, this is not just because increasing the quality of the skill gem does provide more shock chance, but because this skill is pure lightning damage, and its beam converts 100% of your physical damage to lightning. So, all those chain lightning from the skill has a 99.99% chance of shocking enemies. The skill is also stupidly strong in killing enemies, hence Herald of Thunder has a 100% chance to proc all the time. The last piece of skill gem you need for this build is your RHOA mount. We want this spirit gem not for the 15% movement speed, but for that insane 80% reduced movement speed penalty while using a skill. Now, there are nodes in the passive tree that can do the same and let us move fast while shooting Lightning Arrow. However, I really think that it's waste because it doesn't add any further bonuses. There is one, though, called Spray and Pray that grants 50% increased attack damage also while moving. But then again, I really think it's better to spend my skill points on damage or survivability and get the RHOA for that big boost in reduced movement penalty. But here's the problem. RHOA is very vulnerable to stun. The moment you get stunned while riding the mount, it's over. And this was my biggest problem going into Tier 15 and Tier 16 maps with crazy modifiers. Those maps with increased stun buildup is just nasty, and there are also those corpse explosions that sometimes come out of nowhere. I can mitigate the damage, but once the RHOA's stun meter, which you can check building up in the top of your potions and charms, then it's all over. You will be stun locked for a couple of seconds that even instant recovery pots won't help, because what's more fuck up is that getting heavy stun will remove all evasion, which is the main reason why I'm surviving as a Deadeye in high-level maps. Surprisingly, I was able to solve this after 62 times dying, and right now, I'm constantly climbing levels, and I wanted this character to reach level 100. So, I have tried a lot of things, but it seems that I always miss the obvious. As I have said earlier, the RHOA's stun meter is above your pots, which happens to be your stun meter also. So my idea was to take up some stun threshold nodes in my passive and sacrifice some offense. There are two notables that I strongly recommend. The first one is the deft recovery, which I can easily going down to get the bow notables in this build. The second one is also easy to get, and this is the Great Boar notables. The small passive before getting the notables will also give you stun threshold. And get this, the Great Boar notables do scale its stun threshold with your dexterity, which means if you are scaling your dexterity stats, you will not only increase the attack speed of this build, but you will also get huge amount of survivability. It gives you stun threshold per dex, and as well as extra life per dex also, which also directly affects your defense against stun in this game. After applying this, I am not dying because of the RHOA stun mechanics in this game. Okay, before we discuss the gears, I would like to show you first my support skill gem setup and explain why I equip these instead of the other support gems available. For Lightning Arrow, I have Rapid Attack 2, which is super necessary for faster attack speed. If you can have more attack speed from passive skill tree, and as well as dex scaling and getting the Falcon technique passive, then this build will be better. Having too much attack speed will cost a lot of mana consumption for most character, especially if you have high skill gem levels. But not for this Deadeye build, since we have the Defy 2 skill gem that mitigates all that mana consumption. Then, I have Stoicism 2 for more damage. Since this build relies mostly on the mount's movement, the 20% more damage from this skill will always be applicable. By the way, Rapid Attack 2 can be replaced with Charged Shot 2 that grants extra lightning damage in every third shot of your bow skills. If you can get more dexterity in your build for attack speed scaling, or even more attack speed without the support gem, then the better this build will be with Charged Shot 2 paired with Stoicism 2's damage boost. However, I'm still not 100% sure though if this skill gem is working, as it's not showing any damage increase in the tooltip every third shot. So, I need your thoughts about this skill gem. The last gems for Lightning Arrow are Elemental Armament 2 for more lightning damage, and the Lightning Attunement skill gem that grants extra lightning damage. To be honest, this is not a good pair for me now, as I have a ring that grants fire damage to my attacks. If you can go pure lightning and physical damage boost to attacks in your rings, then Lightning Attunement will provide more DPS in this build. For now, I'm using this ring because of the item rarity modifier, which in my opinion, one of the best stats you need for farming build like this. For Lightning Rod, I also have Defy 2 and Elemental Armament 2. But the other support gems are different. I have Multi-Shot because it's needed to get the maximum arrows active in the field. Then, I have Deliberation for more damage at the cost of increased movement penalty. I often use Lightning Rod in boss fights, and I just need to cast at least 2 of it. The Lightning Arrow is the main skill that will detonate all the arrows of Lightning Rod, creating a subsequent damage over time that melts the health of single target enemies in seconds. Like I have said, place the rod, cast Barrage, then detonate it with Lightning Arrow. Rinse and repeat until the enemy dies. For Herald of Thunder, I go with Elemental Focus and Elemental Armament 2. Now some players would give it extra area with Magnified 2, but I don't see any difference, especially with this build. Magnified Area 2 will just give this herald a 0.2 increase in area, and only on the bolt or that tiny ground explosion when Herald of Thunder hits the enemies. I prefer increasing the damage of Herald of Thunder, as I want the strike to instantly kill the target. With Lightning Arrow constantly applying show and killing enemies in the process, Herald of Thunder can constantly get charges and proc with this build. I also added Lightning Attunement for increased damage, and if you have the resources, you can also add Deadly Herald, which is another best in slot. Sadly, I can't do it right now because I am short of divines to get an amulet and body armor piece with spirit increase. For Barrage, I have cooldown recovery, casting speed, and life tap with efficiency. You can't slot in Defy 2 on this skill gem. That is why I have the combo of life tap, so it will make use of my life as mana, then lower the consumption with efficiency 2. The cooldown recovery is for obvious reasons, and the rapid casting is just an extra, as well as the prolonged duration. Finally, for the RHOA mount, I put all the minion gems I can put into the skill gem that can boost the maximum life of my mount. The Loyalty plus Meat Shield is really handy for damage mitigation. Although it's only 10% damage mitigated, but it still helps when you have other layers like Evasion and Energy Shield in your build. By the way, I also tried Brutus Brain, the new lineage support gem for minions, but it will make the Loyalty useless. The thing is, Loyalty supports minions that can be damaged, and Brutus Brain literally makes your RHOA immortal, so the 10% damage redirection will not work if these two support gems is in your minion build. Now, you can add more survivability to this build if you can increase the spirit of the character. Go for more evasion with Windrunner, and add Ghost Dance as usual. But as I have said, that will cost a lot, and this build is already expensive as it is. I have a Witchhunter build that focuses on the same concept like this Deadeye build. The idea is to use the new Constricting Viper Cap to increase attack and spam abilities, and pair it with the Leopold's Applause Gloves that lowers the elemental resistance of enemies to -50%. This means that the enemy will take more damage when you have at least 50% elemental penetration against monster, with no elemental resistances, and about 125% elemental penetration is needed to get the -50% elemental resistance against monster, with 75% elemental resistances. The build is already great with increasing elemental damage, having the gloves, increasing penetration, and the skill gem levels. It can melt all pinnacle bosses in seconds, but with this Deadeye build, it seems that it needed more from gear stats. More specifically, it needs more critical chance to copy the same firepower as my Witchhunter when it comes to killing pinnacle bosses. In fact, it's still not enough. But that's just my personal preference, and it's really not necessary to take down pinnacle bosses in 5 to 3 seconds. The good thing about this Deadeye build is that it's really insane when it comes to mapping. It clears your screen instantly, and with enough investment on the gear side, I will finally achieve that 3-second pinnacle boss kill that I want. Again, it's just my thing, and you don't need to copy it, as I'm just super obsessed right now in killing pinnacle bosses at the fastest time possible. For gears, I strongly suggest investing on a Gemini bow for that extra arrow. For the stats, it's the usual physical damage increase with plus level to gems. Then add elemental damage increase to attacks if you can, and pair it with high critical chance. For the quiver, it's all about increasing physical damage, adding lighting to attacks, attack speed, critical chance, and plus level to gem. If you can add dexterity also, then the better. The same goes with your bow. For the amulet, I strongly suggest investing with plus level to projectile skill as priority. Then pair it with elemental resistance, global resistance if you can, or evasion if it's not available. You can also add energy shield on this slot, or as a replacement for evasion. Also, if you can add dexterity on this, then the better. The same goes with item rarity, which I have crafted right here bad sadly. I got a bad stat on the desecration part. Also, this amulet has no elemental resistance and dexterity boost. It has insane critical chance value, but I still prefer this amulet as it does more compared to this. For the rings, it's the obvious flat lightning and physical, paired with elemental resistance and item rarity. the item rarity should be at 30 to 40%. And by the way, this is the hardest part, as flat lightning rings really cost a lot of divines right now. If you can craft one or manage to loot something from Zesht, then use it, especially a tier 2 flat lightning will be super great for boosting the damage of this build. For your body armor, the highest evasion is needed, paired with some elemental resistances. Also, an armor with spirit values will be great so you can slot Ghost Dance and Wind Dancer on this build. But honestly, you just need Ghost Dance, as with Tailwind, you will have over 60% evasion, which is a good enough value for endgame levels. The boost should be for movement speed and elemental resistances. Remember that boots can also roll item rarity, so you can pick it also if you can. Finally, for the belt, if you can have a belt with stun threshold, then the better. I just used this build because I needed the elemental resistances, and belt with stun threshold can only hold 2 elemental resistance stats. Also remember that boots can give you stun threshold. Basically, it's really your own pick on what is available and what you need in your build. The last part of this video is the passive skill tree. In the Deadeye passive, I choose Point Blank and Endless Munitions. Point Blank is great against bosses, as you will get the bonus damage almost every time. But the other variant, Far Shot, is also good, especially in mapping. Clearing a map is way better with Far Shot, but when it comes to single target, I strongly advise Point Blank. There are maps also with attack and movement speed modifiers, which makes Point Blank better than Far Shot. The Endless Munition is obvious for that extra projectile, while the other notables are for the tailwind mechanics of the Deadeye Ascendancy. This will give you skill speed, evasion, and movement speed, while also granting a maximum of 30% less damage taken at max stack if you have this notable. For my range passive skill tree, it's all about getting as much bonuses for the damage of your projectiles, increasing its critical values, getting elemental damage nodes, and as well as elemental penetration. I extend this passive further until I get Frantic Fighter on the left side, and on the right side I go further until I got Falcon Technique and Struck Through. Also, don't forget the stun threshold, which I have explained earlier, and I'm planning to push the level of this Deadeye to level 99 so I can get the dizzying hits, which further improves my critical chance. For the jewels, by the way, I have one from Nothing Jewel that allocates the electric amplification for the extra lightning penetration and as well as lightning damage. This completes my 84% elemental penetration in the build, which makes the Leopold's gloves valuable against enemies with no resistances. For bosses like Zesht, each hits are guaranteed that to have no lightning damage mitigation, but it would be better if I can bring this up to more negative numbers. The other jewels are with evasion and lightning damage, with bonus stats like attack speed. Again, this build is on mobalytics for easier browsing. The link is in the video description below. By the way, I still have corrupted infusion in my Atlas tree for those who cares. The same as my Witchhunter build. I just love chaotic maps that have modifiers that looks like an essay. But again, it's just me, and you can always get rid of this notable in your Atlas tree. With this build, I can do tier 16 maps easily and farm pinnacle bosses. It's not perfect, and the gears really need improvement because most of it are from my Witchhunter. Rest assured that I will update the build once I get progress. But also, rest assured that this Deadeye build is tested and proven to be very effective at endgame levels. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in my next guide.